You're listening to Mountain Heartbeat with Joe and Rosa Hopkins, proclaiming the gospel through word and through song.
Hi, I'm Joe Hopkins, and welcome to Mountain Heartbeat. This week we're going to play an interview that Rosa did with Rebecca Keissling of SaveTheOne.com.
And so you speak about the power of story, of testimony. Would you mind sharing with our listening audience what your testimony is with regard to the rape exception?
Sure. I was adopted, and I learned at 18 that I was conceived. My birth mother was abducted at knife point by a serial rapist. I met her. She was happy to meet me, but she told me the horrible circumstances. And she was pro-choice when we met, even though she was so happy to meet me. She told me that if it had been legal, she would have aborted me, and in fact, she tried to kill me at 2 illegal abortions, and I was almost aborted, but the fact that it was illegal caused her to back out. She was afraid for her own safety, and so I literally owe my birth to the law being there to protect me. 6 years later, after we met, she changed her mind, and now decades later, we are both thankful that we were both spared the horror of abortion.
Absolutely. What a powerful story. And I had seen testimonies of, I actually read the story there of your meeting with Ted Cruz and with other powerful politicians. And so behind all this, to me, it seems like the heart of it is that we, or most of us, will say we're pro-life, but except for rape, except for incest, except for things. If you're having a child that's born like any other child, if it's not interfered with, why do people differentiate at all and say, well, yeah, we believe in saving life, except if it's rape or incest? Why do people even do that at all?
Well, I understand that people want to show they care about rape victims, but, if you really care about a rape victim, you should want to protect her from the rapist and from the abortion and not the baby. The baby is not the scary enemy. The fact is, the only studies ever done on this shows that the woman is 4 times more likely to die within the next year after the abortion. It perpetuates an abusive situation. We know that rapists love abortion. Perpetrators of incest love abortion, and so do sex traffickers, because the abortion destroys the evidence and it allows them to keep perpetrating on her.
So actually, in advocating that that's what a rape victim should do, we are actually colluding with the people who have abused them to begin with.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, my goodness, yes, absolutely. And the other thing is that the majority of rape victims choose life. They actually choose abortion at half the rate of the average unplanned pregnancy. 25% choose adoption, 50% parent their children. Only 1% choose adoption in your average unplanned pregnancy. So they're really choosing adoption instead of abortion. And these women are grieved. I can tell you, because we have a database of over 400. They are grieved every time someone calls their child the child of a rapist. Because their position is, how dare they say that? This is my child. This is the child of a rape victim. And yet all you ever hear is child of a rapist child. Excuse me, rape victim's child. How dare you?
So let me ask you, given that we just had our elections at the time that we're recording this, nationally they've said that Republicans on the right, and especially pro-life, has done very well, apparently where the Republicans have a majority in the House and the Senate and the presidency, and have done quite well in governor's elections and state senates and houses. Do you think that will help passing more pro-life legislation on a state and, more importantly, a federal level?
Well, in the last few years, we've passed more pro-life legislation at the state level than ever before, and almost every single one of them has no exceptions. I think it's like 86% of pro-life bills introduced at the state level have no exceptions, and it's like 77%, I believe, that when they're passed, they have no exceptions. So at the state level, they're doing pretty well. But the problem is Congress. Congress, it's just horrible, because you don't have leadership like you have at the state level, where they're really holding their legislators accountable and making sure that they don't have a rape exception when they endorse them. And the policies of the national organizations allow for the rape exception. They'll say, oh, we're no exceptions, but they allow it. And you'll get 100% if you introduce a rape exception like Eric Cantor did. So it's a huge problem. Donald Trump says that he's going to defund Planned Parenthood, but the problem is that the last defund Planned Parenthood bill has a rape exception in it. Like, how is it even workable? And it's just so insulting because, Lila Rose Live Action did these exposés on how Planned Parenthood and abortion clinics cover up rape and enable traffickers. And so why would you even trust them with a rape victim?
Mm-hmm. Wow. That is absolutely unreal. Can you tell our audience about your organization, Save the One, what it is that you do, and your involvement with helping to pass legislation through your testimony?
Mm-hmm. Well, we have a database of over 400, as I said, with the rape-related stories, birth mothers, conceived in rape or incest, mothers from rape raising their children, some who miscarried, and others who are post-abortive from rape, and they're precious to us, and they give their testimonies how truly the abortion was worse than the rape. And then, so we raise awareness, we get our stories out, and we cover also the challenging prenatal diagnosis, so-called fetal abnormalities, which usually are, often are not fatal. And so we get these stories. We have a blog. We have our Facebook page where we do memes and when we highlight all of these stories that are in the news. We really specialize in the so-called hard cases in the abortion debate, the ones whom Jesus would call the least of these. And then we are available to testify. And like I said, I have a database, so I keep track of these stories and what states they're in so that they can be available to testify. But we also have people worldwide, even in Africa, who share their stories. And now we have a Spanish division, over 22,000 followers in 1 year on Facebook. And we have a Portuguese division we launched in this summer, and now we have a Polish division that we're launching. So we try to get these stories out globally. We send them on for publications to like Life News, LifeSite News, Live Action, and in other languages like major publications, so that we can pierce the darkness and get our stories told, because you have so many voices who are heard, but when does the voice of the least of these ever get heard? So that's our goal, is to have our voices heard and make a difference. We also have a support group for people who need help with, they're struggling with the issues related to, being part of these stories. So we have various groups on Facebook and support groups that are confidential. And then we also have the activism groups for people who really want to get involved.
So if there's somebody who's listening to the radio and they have been raped, or they have a loved one who has been raped, there's often a lot of pressure. And I know this firsthand. There's often a lot of pressure from people that basically the next step is to have an abortion. But if you were speaking into the life of somebody who's at that threshold, what would you say to that person?
Well, first I have to listen to them. So I have to hear what their story is, and I need to hear what their concerns are, what their fears are. Most abortions, well, almost all abortions really, are fear-driven. Women don't have abortions because they hate babies. They're afraid. And I know what many of the rape victims, from our organization, many had contemplated, at least briefly, abortion. And so I understand their fears. And they need to be encouraged. They need to know that they're capable of great love. And that's normal to love your child. And, of course, babies are born so cute, none of them look at their child and think, oh, monster, right? And then their heart is just broken that they even contemplate it. And so they need to know that they're going to be helped. Some of them are afraid about the rapist being involved in their life. my other organization, Hope After Rape Conception, we advocate on behalf of them. We've gotten laws passed, the Rape Survivor Child Custody Act, to protect them from the rapists. And so they just need a little guidance to make sure that they're going to be protected. Sometimes they need to know about adoption laws, and sometimes, they just need help like any other woman in an unplanned pregnancy. So referrals to pregnancy resource centers so that they can get their financial needs met and get maternity clothes, baby clothes, formula, diapers, whatever their needs are.
Absolutely, they do need
Thank you for joining us this week on Mountain Heartbeat. We'll conclude this interview with Rebecca Keissling at a later date, but I would encourage you to check out Rebecca's ministry at SaveTheOne.com. If you'd like to find more of our free music and interviews, you can find it at SoundCloud/Rosa Hopkins. And if you'd like to find more of our stuff on YouTube, you can search for Joe and Rosa Hopkins, or you can find Rosa's blog at lifeinsidethehouseontherock.com. We're going to leave you this week with a song by Ashley Carge, Take My Life and Let It Be.